check? Okay. Good. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Today we're with Evan.
Heffernan
from the USA, and today is the 4th day in Garda, Italy. We just wrapped up the day, the first day racing in the Gold Fleet. And it's been fun so far.
It's honestly probably the most competitive fleet we've had in a long time.
Definitely.
Which was
we're
awesome
gonna
be
we'll talk about this a bit later. So let's start like this. I know I haven't been racing a long time. I know that you've been working along with the racing. So let's start with like this. Pretty much everyone, just a few short sentences. Explain your background, where you came from, when did you start kiting, how did you end up in kite foiling?
Yeah, definitely. So I was born and raised in Santa Barbara, California, in the U.S. And I went to school for high school and then 2 years of college, working towards computer science.
Okay.
And then as kiting kind of picked up, I stopped school and went full-time doing computer science remotely for a company in Santa Barbara.
Okay. How long ago did you first time did you try kiting?
First time I kited was junior year or senior year of high school, so probably 4 years ago. And first time I started foiling was probably 3 years ago, and then first event was 2 years ago.
Okay.
So.
Nice. And then since then, you told me that you went to work for an IT company developing apps, and you've been combining it with the kiting and training a lot.
Yeah, so it's like a workout tracking company, so you can track your kiting or you track your run or whatever.
Okay.
So I can go kiting and actually be working by testing the app and stuff. So it really allows me to travel and go to all the events that I want to while still paying the bills.
Yeah, it's definitely because you've been visiting a bunch of international events in in last year especially, and then we can see that your level improved drastically throughout the last year and a half. I think it's mostly attributed to the hours.
Yeah, it's definitely just hours. I mean, I feel like I still am not achieving enough hours per month or per week. But
what's your goal per, let's say, in a week? How many days are you trying to be out in the water?
Through a 7-day week, I try and get on the water for 2 or 3 days. Mostly during the work days. If I'm at home, they're long days at work. So I don't get on the water. But if it's like summertime, then I'll get a quick session in the afternoon. Okay. But weekends as well. So I don't know, near 8 hours or.
Do you spend most of your time at your home in Santa Barbara?
Yeah, if I'm not going to events, I spend time at home, and then I'll also travel to San Fran or to Long Beach to practice.
And I guess San Francisco for the Thursday night races as well.
Yeah.
I would like to attend them, especially, but I think they start kind of late for me when I just at the time.
Right, just as school ends.
My school ends and I have to go back to Europe.
Definitely.
How is the event here in Garda for you?
Good. I mean, I think it's a definitely a competitive fleet, and I'd like to be doing better, but it's definitely been challenging. Had a lot of fun doing the mixed relay thing. I think that format was pretty cool.
Basically, I think we have to say that Evan is in the team who won
Daniela.
the gold with Danιέλα.
That's the thing. I had Danιέλα on my team. It's a little bit of cheating with her. But
I had Yelena on my team.
Yeah, she had 2 races on Danιέλα today.
Yeah.
So.
I think today because of the mountains, you just had to go towards the mountain because of the wind shift. In the last race, I started on starboard and I tucked immediately. I went all the way to the beach, and I had to tuck around the place where we will launch the kites. And you know what? I made it to the top mark.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Halfway through, the wind just went like this. I was like, "Oops, I'm making the mark now." I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I was a bit worried about being understood there, and then also made it. So
yeah,
it's crazy how much it changes as you get up to the mark.
And I think tomorrow the wind is kind of looking not the best. It's probably going to be gusty and.
Yeah, some rain too, right? Potentially snowing. It's gonna be really cold.
Oh, probably yeah. But we have a morning call. So in in the US for this, how many? So I guess you're gonna be doing all the Thursday night races, events, and Long Beach.
I definitely won't be doing all of them, but I'll do a couple. I went and did the first one right before this event, and hopefully do maybe 5 more throughout the year.
Do you train alone in Santa Barbara or with someone?
Normally training with the Wilsons, Dane and Quinn.
Okay.
But Dane just started a 49er campaign, as you know.
Do you know how is it going for him? Because he was in a show a couple of months ago, and he said that he's going to be transferring to 49er.
Right.
It's been, what?
I think it's going well. They're one of the top teams, and they kind of got thrown into their most recent event without much practice, and they still did pretty well. So they're now in Weymouth for Worlds, I think it is, or maybe Europeans.
Okay.
But no, they're doing well. So hopefully he's hoping to qualify for 2020.
Nice. Yeah. Well, good luck to Dane. Hopefully he's doing well. How do you like? Let's go back to Cassidy. How do you like the new format for the mixed relay team format? Because I think this is pretty much the thing. At least the base of it is. This is what we're gonna get into in the Olympic Games 2024. Right. Maybe with the small minor adjustments, but the base is there.
Yeah.
How do you like it? What would be your suggestions?
I think there's a couple of things, but I really like it. The changeover area worked well, and that I think was the biggest concern. So for me, I think the waiting around was quite a bit since we had 2 fleets. So maybe compressing that into 1 fleet. I don't think we need to do the round robin we did. That way we fire off more races.
I also think because there were 2 fleets, it was really confusing for the spectators to see
what's going on.
Yeah, who is supposed to be racing, because there would be 30 people around the starting line.
Makes it a little bit harder to follow.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think 1 fleet, and then I think we either need to go a little bit longer with the course or a little bit shorter, depending on what we're trying to achieve. If we're trying to get a bunch of races off, then go shorter and have it be a consistency thing. If you're trying to have less races but make it more tactical, then lengthen it a little bit and
would you think
open
maybe
that up.
Make it a bit shorter, but then add an extra lap?
I honestly, if the race course is short, I think the extra lap doesn't do much. Because after you get to maybe the first top mark, it's almost pretty set. Unless it's a pretty shifty venue. But I mean, even here with the right being so favored, it's just like, boom, everybody goes right. And it's kind of just like a follow the leader consistency thing.
Yes, it is.
So it's definitely interesting, but I think if they want a longer race, then make a longer beat. Don't necessarily do more laps.
Okay. Okay, that's a good point. I think the tendency is to actually make it maybe a bit shorter, and just give more races to because it's the shorter races is basically it's better for the spectators. Right.
Yeah. People will stay viewing for 7 minutes and like be happy with watching the whole race start to finish.
Yeah.
Which I think would be good for spectators.
How do you like overall mixing?
What do you mean?
I mean the basically.
The guy-girl team?
No, not the guy-girl team, but each team is racing with another team. It's the way they mixed us together that basically you had a chance to race with almost everyone throughout the course. Right,
so the like round robin we did.
Yeah.
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 I don't know, I thought it was good. I think it was interesting the like A-B start, whether the guys or girls started. And I think that definitely was pretty tactical. Like if a girl started, then you might race differently if the guy started. So I think that'll be interesting to see how they decide it. But
maybe what they should do is just they should, let's say, the teams who are not racing, just there should be designated area way above or below the course.
Oh, right,
where they wait there and they don't mess within the.
Right, definitely. But I think ideally it's just one fleet.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it's 20, 30 riders, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean you're not going to have more than 40 teams at an Olympic Games.
Yeah. I think it's gonna get really tough with the 30 riders, and it's now at the level where, let's say, Daniela and Elena is just firing up and they bring in the huge gaps to other girls, and you can start clearly. But let's say
when they all get close.
if we would start top 30 guys, and it would be a short course, so it means top 20 finishes within 5 seconds, and I believe it would be just a mess on the starting line in the changing area to start.
Yeah, but I think that's part of the viewership. Like, people want to see mayhem, and I think it would be really cool to have that close of racing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not the best kiting, but I think it would be the best for viewing.
Yeah.
And it just makes it that much easier to follow, that it's one fleet, whoever wins, and then that's how they score it.
Okay. Yes, but as we talked before, I think overall the event is the whole
awesome.
format is amazing. I personally loved it. It was very interesting, I think, for both for athletes and for the spectators. And I'm definitely giving it a go with minor adjustments and polishing the format. But then overall, I think it's a good thing.
Definitely 2 thumbs up here on the format.
As the IKEA was pushing the idea behind it, that they just want to see the boys and girls working together, and I can really feel and see how the boy and girl working together in such a format.
Right.
How many events do you plan to do this summer? Oh, not this summer, but upcoming year. What's your plan?
Yeah, so I'm thinking about doing Marseille, the World Sailing event, and then probably North Americans, which is also the Pro Tour San Francisco. And then maybe Weifang, China, maybe Jitsuria for Gold Cup.
Okay.
But I haven't actually built out a calendar yet, which I need to do. That's on the list, so we'll see. Probably 4-ish, maybe.
Okay.
Definitely trying to do less than last year. I think I did too much last year.
Too much. Are you planning to go to China?
I think for the first event, potentially. Maybe.
Why not 2?
We'll see. Depends on work and all that. But
I guess because you have to. It's bad with the connection there and
right. Yeah, the Wi-Fi is interesting.
And also you have the block.
Right.
So maybe you can't work as good. Okay. What's your plan for a long time? Are you planning to try to qualify for the Olympics 2024?
Yeah, definitely. I think we're still quite a ways out, so I think it's going to be important to kind of make sure we pace ourselves and don't get burnt out, but definitely trying to qualify and stay kind of with the formula gear all throughout, since we're just a few months away from that all changing. I guess a year, but pretty soon, and then we'll all be on formula.
Actually, no, it's 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, they're going to decide the final format for the Olympic Games. But I talked to Marcus, and he said that he's pretty much, and he told told us at the AGM meeting that he's confident that almost 100% it's going to be formula.
Nothing changes, right?
Yeah, they're not going to put some weird stuff out there.
And I think the mixed team relay we just tested out kind of got a lot of media and proves that it works well.
Yes.
So I think there's not going to be much changing.
Because kitesurfing is official in Olympic Games, do you get any support from National Federation?
We haven't yet, but we're hoping once it becomes an official cycle, so in 2020, then we'll start working with U.S. Sailing a bit.
As they can plan the budget for the next 4 years.
Right, exactly, and kind of get a little bit of support, but U.S. Sailing is privately funded, so it's definitely way less than what other countries might have.
Okay. I didn't know that it was privately funded.
Yeah.
Okay, do you know, is it by the individuals or just by big production companies?
It's by individuals, and a few companies sponsor it. But
do you know if anyone is interested to sponsor? If any of the sponsors is interested into kite surfing?
I'm not sure, honestly, who the direct funders are, or people that donate, I guess.
Okay.
But
overall, do you find U.S. sailing as being friendly to kite surfing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've already had, at Aarhus, we had a coach who was Robbie, and that was supported by U.S. Sailing. and they've invited us to training camps and everything.
Well, that's
with
great.
the other
Okay.
Olympic classes.
Okay.
So they're definitely know it's coming and are planning on joining us in with the rest of the fleets.
Okay.
So it's coming, but I'm just not sure when we'll start fully, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think because they need to plan the budget for the future things.
Yeah. And I think it's also will be important we try and get a few more girls, because I know we have probably 5 guys.
Yeah.
And with the Formula team events that I'm sure are going to start popping up, you're going to have to register with someone. So we don't want to only have one team, like as we saw.
Yeah.
UK had 4 teams.
Yeah, they have so many girls, so many boys. I think they are right now the current leaders in this movement between boys and girls, and just creating
just
the team
teams
for the Olympic Games.
Yeah.
Definitely. What my question was, when you train, sometimes you train with the wheel.
Sear.
Yeah, with the wheels. But then with the Wilsons. But then when you train alone, how do you improve yourself? What's your focus on, and how do you stay sharp about what you need to be doing and how to improve yourself?
Definitely, yeah. So I had a sailing background before kiting, so I did high school sailing in the States, and sailed a little bit of 29ers, which are like the step down class of a 49er, the Olympic class. And through that, I kind of learned how to train, how to break down all the little movements that you do. So when I'm alone, I try and focus more on little small technique things. When I'm with other people, it more becomes a focus of tactics and speed. Okay. Generally when I'm alone, it's either like body position and stance for speed, and then focusing on maneuvers, like what my hands are doing, what my feet are doing, where each thing is at a time, but breaking it down into each movement and then building a path through of what that looks like.
That's great. When do you think, if you're a new rider and you just, let's say you just bought the full killer of new kites and then production bars, when do you need to start worrying about getting the custom carbon bars, cutting your lines short, and just being super edgy on equipment and trying to copy the world's class riders?
I think until you're going to international events. I think once you're at an international event, then it's not worth your money to not check that stuff. So, you know what I mean? So if you're at an event, you want to make sure your kites are tuned, your lines are correct, all that stuff. For me, I spent probably a year with kites that probably weren't the greatest kites. Probably my bars weren't perfectly rigged. But that way you're kind of focusing with what other boats would do, is focusing with chains behind you, like a handicap almost. So you're learning all the stuff and learning all the motions with a handicap, and it makes you train a bit harder. And I think that's also one reason to train with people who are better than you, because then you're pushing to get to that limit. And also if you have equipment that's a little bit slower, it's also making that
you have to
gap.
push harder to get them. Okay, yeah, so I think basically you shouldn't really worry about all your gear until you got the basis. And until you really start to compare yourself to other riders.
Yeah, until you can explain what you're doing in the middle of attack.
Okay, yeah, or until you can really feel what's going on with the equipment. Because as for me, I cut my lines short, but I know that if I go lower, I wouldn't feel comfortable. I know why I wouldn't feel comfortable. I don't like some aspects of it, and I know if I go higher, I know what I would like with the longer lines and what I would not like with them.
And when you're doing that, you spend time testing it. So you've obviously tested mid-range lines, short lines, long lines, and I think for a new person to do that is a waste of their time if they're not necessarily making maneuvers or
they really should just focus on the basis. Nail your tugs down, jibes down, up and downwind, feel comfortable in the foil.
Get to the point where you can do racing in all conditions without falling. And then that's when you can start saying, okay, so how can I change it from here.
Okay. Evan, what's your Instagram? We're gonna put it here.
EF6.
You have 6. We're gonna put it here. I'm gonna tag you on Facebook as well.
Yeah, Evan Heffernan.
Any sponsors you would like to thank?
Yeah, Ozone Kites and Forward WIP have become pretty helpful in the last little bit, which is awesome.
Okay, and
pretty happy with
I think
that gear.
everyone knows what Ozone is just brand kites. What is Forward WIP?
Yeah, so Forward WIP, the WIP actually stands for Water Impact Protection.
Okay.
And they're making wetsuits, impact vests, helmets, kind of all your gear that you're wearing, and designing it to make sure you're safe, make sure you don't have any issues.
Okay.
All the Sail GP guys are wearing their impact vests, and yeah, that super comfortable gear and loving it. So.
Okay, yeah, definitely. Thank you for them, and we're gonna put. I'm gonna tag them as well.
Awesome.
Just so they have it. And couple last questions. How do you like Garda? Have you ever been here before?
I haven't, but it's probably one of the most beautiful places I've been.
Definitely, you can
insane.
see
like
there's the
snow-top mountains.
Top the mountains. We can see them now because the
clouds.
Clouds, but they're there.
I mean, awesome place to have racing. I think
the big cliffs.
Yeah.
What can you show? Yeah.
A little upside down, but yeah, it's an awesome place. I mean, if you ever have the chance to come race here, definitely do it. I think it was definitely a small launch for us for kiting, but
they
we
managed
got
it.
120 kites out of a small area, no problem.
Yeah, and I think it's a really beautiful place.
Yeah, it's well worth the racing once you get out there.
Definitely.
So, cool venue.
What do you think is the most beautiful, and what's your favorite place to be kiting at? And let's say combining all the aspects, the view, the easy to launch, the wind conditions,
right, lifestyle, all that.
Yeah.
I'd have to go with Los Briles or La Ventana, Baja, Mexico. La Ventana is super good for kiting, but I think the food and like lifestyle is a little bit different. Like there's less to do.
It's a bit on the low side.
Yeah, you're either going kiting or you're
Slipping.
going kiting. Like that's all you do there. And I think Los Briles kind of
what's the place?
Los Briles.
Where is it?
It's probably 45 minutes south of La Ventana.
Okay.
It's a little bit bigger town. Probably has more food options. And there's more people. So there's people you can meet from all over, and you can do other things besides just going kiting.
So
there's really good spear fishing, kite surfing, but yeah, I mean Mexico is one of the best spots.
Okay, nice. We're gonna round up here, and there's the camera, Evan. If you can just look at it and say what you think is important right now, or not important. Just you can also. I think you can also just look there and be quiet. At the same time, it's like say hi, mom, or say inspirational thoughts. It doesn't really matter, but just.
Yeah, I mean, thank you to all the people that have helped get me to where I am. I think it's a pretty awesome sport and awesome privilege to be able to do what we're doing. I mean, when your biggest worry is dropping a jibe or dropping a tack, that's pretty incredible in a place like this.
Yeah.
I mean, so thank you. Yeah, thanks for doing the podcast.
Thank you, Evan. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
And guys, we're posting weekly, so next Wednesday, tune in. It's gonna be another amazing episode. See you. Bye.
Cheers.